It was just after 5 a.m. when Bryana Bongolan awoke to the slam of a penthouse door and the heavy thud of footsteps racing toward Cassie Ventura's 17th-floor balcony. Seconds later, she insists, Sean Diddy Combs snatched her from the sofa, hauled her outside and planted her on the icy metal rail, Los Angeles still blinking below. "You know what the expletive you did," he repeated, each syllable dripping with fury. For 10 breath-stealing seconds, Bongolan balanced between sky and sidewalk, certain the next gust of wind would write her obituary. Then just as suddenly, Combs yanked her back and flung her onto patio furniture, leaving bruises that jurors would examine years later. On the witness stand, the 33-year-old graphic designer said the shock never really dissipated. Night terrors, startled screams, a paranoia that shadowed her for nearly a decade. She admitted she had once used cocaine during a Malibu photoshoot with Combs, but swore fear, not drugs, etched those memories in stone. Defense lawyers pounced, calling her a litigant chasing a payday, yet photos of purple welts and hospital notes lent her story a visceral weight. Prosecutors framed the balcony scene as a textbook moment in Combs's alleged playbook of intimidation. Proof, they argue, that he leveraged raw terror to keep insiders silent while freak-offs and hush money deals flourished in the dark. Bongolan's account landed like a jolt in the courtroom, but the prosecution hints it's merely the prologue. Because if dangling a friend over the edge sounds extreme, witnesses say the mogul's private parties spiraled into something even more surreal and far harder to forget. But that wasn't the end of the story. Long before prosecutors called it a crime, insiders whispered about freak-offs. Late-night marathons where Diddy allegedly hired male escorts, pumped the room with party drugs and filmed every encounter like an underground movie set. Cassie Ventura stunned the jury by confirming those rumours. For nearly a decade, she said she joined the sessions first to keep her boyfriend happy, then because he threatened to leak the footage if she ever refused. Prosecutors bolstered her claim with still images pulled from Combs's own devices, showing Cassie in staged encounters that sometimes stretched for days. The government argues the tapes became a personal blackmail vault, a silent lever that let Combs demand obedience from Cassie and other women while expanding what one agent called a mini-industry of hush money and intimidation. Defense lawyers counter that every guest was a consenting adult chasing glamour, but jurors have now heard 3 witnesses describe the same pattern. Lavish parties start with champagne and end with pressure, cameras, and threats. As Cassie put it on the stand, saying no never felt like an option. The question haunting the courtroom is whether that vault of videos will prove the turning point or just the first crack in a much deeper facade. And the violence Cassie hinted at? That story is even darker. Inside the courtroom, Bryana Bongolan's balcony ordeal was just chapter 1 of what prosecutors call a long-running cycle of fear. She testified she'd seen Cassie stagger in with fresh bruises and a swollen eye, and once watched Diddy hurl a kitchen knife that clattered inches from the singer's face. The intimidation wasn't confined to 4 walls. During a Malibu photo shoot, Bongolan said the mogul leaned so close she felt his breath and whispered, "I'm the devil, and I could kill you." She believed him, because, she told jurors, power and violence seemed to follow him like an entourage. Other witnesses echo that menace. Rapper Kid Cudi described a midnight break-in where Combs allegedly locked Cudi's dog in a bathroom, rifled through Christmas gifts, and later watched as Cudi's car exploded in a suspected firebombing. "I knew Sean Combs was violent," the artist said, adding that Cassie had warned him of beatings and kicks. Together, these accounts paint a portrait of a music empire built on more than just hit records, one where fear, threats and brute force allegedly kept critics silent. But if violence bent people to his will, prosecutors say cold, hard cash sealed their lips. Money, witnesses say, was Diddy's second favourite weapon. Prosecutors told jurors that hush payments like Garcia's weren't one-offs but a running tab. Former finance chief Derek Ferguson described corporate and personal expenses sliding across the same Amex, while Cassie's relatives allegedly received unexplained wire transfers after intimate videos became leverage. Defense lawyers insist these were generous gifts, yet the pattern, violence first, cash later, now forms the backbone of the racketeering case. What makes the Garcia 100K bribe so potent is its timing. It came just days after the balcony scare and barely a month before prosecutors say Diddy threatened Kid Cudi with a car explosion. Each payout plugged a leak, but it didn't stop the ship from taking on water, and when the empire itself began to crack, even mountains of cash couldn't keep the helicopters away. At dawn on March 26, 2024, Homeland Security helicopters battered the calm over Miami's ultra-exclusive Star Island, while agents in black fatigues stormed both of Diddy's waterfront mansion and his $40 million Los Angeles Holmby Hills estate. Inside, they catalogued pistols, assault rifle magazines, cocaine residue, and crates of baby oil bottles the prosecution later called essential party supplies. Photos filed in court 2 weeks ago show rope, pleasure toys, and a duffel stamped bad boy, stacked beside evidence tags, images that turned a rumoured lifestyle into hard exhibits. 6 months after the twin raids, a federal grand jury handed up a racketeering and trafficking indictment, pitching the mogul from VIP lounges to a possible life sentence. Wall Street noticed first. In January 2024, longtime liquor ally Diageo cut ties, bought out the De Leon tequila venture, and quietly sidelined Kirok's once ubiquitous Diddy ads. Macy's yanked Sean John from its racks, Hulu scrapped a family reality series, and the Recording Academy re-evaluated his Grammy invitation, while Revolt, his own cable network, announced the chairman was stepping away before an employee buyout erased his shares entirely. Vulture's running tally now lists more than a dozen endorsements and ventures, ranging from skincare to fintech, that have dissolved or frozen payments since the raids. The financial hemorrhage is striking. Analysts at 2 private equity firms told Billboard the combined exit of Diageo, Revolt, and Macy's shaved well north of $1 billion off Combs's net worth estimates, while lenders quietly placed Bad Boy Entertainment under covenant review. Yet prosecutors contend the crash was inevitable because hush money only postpones the truth. Fear and cash, one agent testified, were his twin accountants. But while sponsorships fled and cash reserves thinned, another wildcard stepped onto the stage: presidential politics. And suddenly, this courtroom drama looked even messier. Cameras in the Oval Office caught an unexpected detour. A Fox News reporter asked former President Donald Trump if he'd consider pardoning Sean Diddy Combs. Trump didn't flinch. He talked about looking at the facts, recalled clinking champagne with Combs before politics got in the way, and left the door wide open. "I'd certainly review it if I thought someone was being mistreated." Within hours, 50 Cent fired off Instagram broadsides promising to make sure that never happens, even hinting he'd meet Trump face to face. The rapper, long a rival of Combs, mocked Diddy's past jabs at Trump and vowed to remind the former president there's no room for distraction when the allegations involve exploited women. Hip-hop blogs lit up, and political pundits suddenly had a new subplot: celebrity beef colliding with executive clemency. The exchange sharpened an uncomfortable question: could the final chapter of this trial be drafted not by jurors, but by a pen in the West Wing? Presidential pardons have rescued reality TV stars and disgraced billionaires before. Why not a fallen rap mogul whose empire once rubbed shoulders with Mar-a-Lago galas? For now, the courtroom hums on, while pundits speculate, but the mere possibility of political rescue underscores how power still orbits Combs, even as his business empire crumbles. And with witnesses still to come, the stakes inside Judge Swain's courtroom only climb higher. Behind the curtain benches where cameras are banned, prosecutors keep entire drives of so-called freak-off videos, chat logs, and medical files under seal, material so graphic the government argued it should never hit public feeds, even in a redacted form. Court filings note that only jurors will see the footage, while everyone else must rely on summaries and blurred stills. Legal analysts say dozens of hours of unseen tape could surface if the defence opens the door, a prospect that hovers over every sidebar. Meanwhile, the whisper mill is spinning. Court dockets list an upcoming witness identified only as Jane 4, believed to be a former Bad Boy staffer who claims she kept detailed calendars of party inventory. Reports also point to Kirk Burrows, Bad Boy's co-founder, who recently filed a civil complaint and is rumoured to have met twice with federal agents about 1990s financial shakedowns. Former personal assistants, newly subpoenaed after one broke anonymity in the Wall Street Journal, could corroborate those ledgers, adding a paper trail to the testimony about hush money payouts. On social media, #Diddy Files trends almost daily as bloggers dissect every sealed motion, claiming hidden affidavits link Combs to off-the-book security teams and an alleged arson crew. None of those claims are verified, and the judge has warned jurors to avoid internet chatter, but the noise shapes public perception in real time. Industry fallout widens too. Streaming spikes whenever a bombshell drops, then plummet when another sponsor cuts ties. Business Insider tallies suggest brands have already yanked or frozen more than $200 million in marketing deals, a figure that could double if the sealed exhibits land badly. For prosecutors, every rumour is leverage. For the defence, every rumour is prejudice. And with at least 3 mystery witnesses still in reserve, next week's docket may decide which version of reality sticks, courtroom fact or online frenzy. The stage is set for a verdict that could echo far beyond the jury box. From that breath-snatching moment on a Los Angeles balcony to helicopters thundering over Star Island, the Sean Diddy Combs saga has morphed from whispered party lore into one of the most explosive trials hip-hop has ever seen. We've heard about midnight freak-offs, 6-figure hush money, knives hurled in kitchens, cars erupting in flames, and a mogul who allegedly weaponized power, fear and cash to keep an empire intact. Yet we've also watched the same man court presidents headline Super Bowl stages and top Forbes lists, proof that celebrity and menace can share the same spotlight. Now, inside a federal courtroom stripped of flashing cameras, 12 jurors are deciding whether those dark stories amount to a criminal enterprise or a swirl of exaggerated memories. A conviction could lock Combs away for life and leave a crater where Bad Boy once stood. An acquittal could ignite debate over how far fame can bend justice. Either outcome will ripple across music, fashion and pop culture for years. So here's the question no verdict can answer. Was Diddy's glittering legacy always built on shadows, or are we witnessing the ultimate public unmaking of a man who once taught the world to vote or die? Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.